Don't skip, your soulmate just heard what really happened to you. And they're devastated. Jesus says right now in this very moment your soulmate has just discovered something about your life that has completely shattered their heart. They are sitting somewhere right now frozen in place, unable to process the weight of what they just learned about you. And the tears they are crying right now are not tears of anger but tears of devastating love that has nowhere to go. Jesus says, I am pulling back the veil between your world and theirs to show you something that is happening in real time. Your soulmate just overheard a conversation or saw something that revealed the pain you have been silently carrying alone. And the devastation they feel right now is because they realized they were not there to hold you through it. Jesus says your soulmate just whispered your name under their breath without even knowing why they said it. Their hand is resting on their chest right now because they physically feel a tightness that has your name written all over it. And what they do not know is that this sensation is your spirit reaching out to theirs across the distance. Jesus says your soulmate just experienced a sudden wave of emotion that made them stop everything they were doing. They looked at the clock without understanding why that specific time felt so significant to them. That time marker is a signal I placed between your two hearts, and it is activating right now as you hear these words. Jesus says your soulmate just had an unexplainable urge to check their phone, waiting for something they cannot name. Their fingers hovered over a screen searching for a message they have been spiritually expecting for weeks. And they do not realize that the message they are waiting for begins with the prayers you are too afraid to speak aloud. Jesus says, I have allowed your soulmate to feel a fraction of the loneliness you have been carrying in secret. I have permitted their spirit to brush against the sharp edges of your hidden sorrows tonight. And the reason they feel devastated is because their soul recognizes your pain as something they were designed to heal in you. Your soulmate is currently questioning why they feel such a deep and sudden grief that does not belong to them. They are confused by the tears that keep forming at the edges of their eyes for no apparent reason. This confusion is the proof that your spiritual cord is alive and vibrating with urgency right now. Jesus says your soulmate just heard what happened to you, and their first instinct was to protect you from across the distance. They clenched their jaw and their hands formed fists at their sides because they despise that you suffered alone. And I want you to know that this protective fury they feel is the purest form of divine love manifesting through their soul. Jesus says what your soulmate discovered tonight was not meant to reach their ears through ordinary means. I sent a messenger in the form of a dream, a song, or a stranger's passing comment to deliver this truth to their spirit. And the reason I allowed this is because the separation between you has lasted long enough in the heavenly timeline. Your soulmate is currently replaying every moment they missed with you without knowing those moments were yours. They are mentally retracing the months and years, wondering why they felt drawn to certain dates that now make terrifying sense. Every one of those dates corresponds to a moment you cried out for someone who never came, but your soulmate heard it spiritually. Jesus says, I am showing your soulmate images of you sitting alone in a room with your head in your hands. I am letting them see the shadows under your eyes from the sleepless nights you never told anyone about. And they are devastated because they recognize those shadows as the exact darkness they were created to chase away from your life. Your soulmate just closed their eyes and saw your face with a sadness that struck them like a physical blow. They do not know how they know the expression they are seeing, but their spirit recognizes it instantly. That face they see is the face you wore on the day you almost gave up, and your soulmate is spiritually witnessing it now. Jesus says your soulmate just spoke your name into an empty room, testing how it sounds on their lips. The sound of it vibrated through their chest, and something ancient awakened in their bloodstream. That ancient thing is the covenant I wrote between your two souls before either of you drew your first earthly breath. This is why your soulmate needs your protection right now, because what they are experiencing is leaving them spiritually vulnerable. The enemy sees that your soulmate is awakening to the truth of your bond, and he is moving quickly to create confusion and fear. Every second you delay in covering this connection with prayer and faith action is a second the interference gains more ground. Jesus says your soulmate is currently caught between the overwhelming love they feel and the voices telling them it is not real. There is a person close to them, a jealous influence, who has been speaking lies about your connection for months. And your soulmate is fighting a battle you cannot see, where they feel insane for loving someone they have not yet fully found. Your soulmate just put their head down on a table or a pillow and whispered, "Why does this hurt so much?" They are not hurting because of something you did, but because their soul is feeling the separation as a physical wound tonight. And I need you to understand that this wound will either heal through reunion or scar into permanent distance, depending on what you do now. Jesus says the interference working against your union has taken a specific form in your soulmate's life. There is a person who has positioned themselves as a trusted voice while deliberately blocking every path that leads to you. And tonight that person sensed the shift in your soulmate's energy, and they are already working overtime to discredit what your soulmate is feeling. Your soulmate just asked themselves a dangerous question that the enemy wants them to settle with a lie. They looked in the mirror and wondered if this intense pull toward an unknown someone is just their imagination running wild. And in that moment of self-doubt, a spiritual battle erupted over the belief system of your soulmate's heart. Jesus says the enemy's strategy is to make your soulmate believe that what they feel is foolishness. He wants to embarrass them out of pursuing the truth by surrounding them with people who mock spiritual connections. And the person blocking your soulmate has already planted seeds of doubt that are beginning to sprout tonight while you wait. Type 333 right now if you are ready to receive the divine blessings I am releasing over your soulmate connection. Do not let this moment pass without acknowledging that you feel the truth vibrating through these words. Your confirmation is the first strike against the spiritual blockage that has held your union captive for too long. Jesus says your soulmate just remembered a dream they had where someone held them in a way that healed something broken. They woke up from that dream crying because the embrace felt more real than anything their waking life has ever offered. That embrace was your spirit visiting them in the realm I created for lovers who are temporarily separated by earthly circumstances. Your soulmate cannot explain why they have been unable to fully commit to anyone else despite the pressure around them. The person interfering in their life has tried repeatedly to push them into relationships that serve that person's agenda. But your soulmate has always felt a mysterious resistance, a quiet voice that whispered, "Not this one, wait for the one your heart already knows." Jesus says that voice of resistance is the work of my angels who guard the covenant written over your union. Every time your soulmate almost settled for a counterfeit love, my hand intervened, because what I have joined together no earthly force can permanently separate. But the interference is growing more aggressive tonight because the enemy knows his time to block this is running out. Your soulmate just felt a sudden urge to reach out to someone they have not spoken to in years. They do not know that this urge is your spirit pulling on the invisible cord that binds you together. And their hand literally twitched toward action before doubt crashed down on them like a wave sent from the enemy's camp. Jesus says the person controlling your soulmate's environment has noticed the shift happening in their spirit. This person is now actively creating distractions, scheduling events, and manufacturing crises to keep your soulmate's attention away from you. And the most dangerous part is that this person does this under the guise of love and friendship while poisoning your soulmate's belief in true connection. Your soulmate is currently being told by someone close to them that they need to be more realistic about love. That same person laughed dismissively when your soulmate mentioned feeling drawn to someone they could not explain. And your soulmate tucked their belief away like a secret treasure because the world has taught them that spiritual love sounds like madness to the practical mind. Jesus says, I am telling you this so you understand that your soulmate is not ignoring you by choice. They are a prisoner of circumstance trapped in an environment curated by someone who fears losing control over them. And the devastation they feel tonight is the prison bars shaking because the truth of you is an earthquake to their gilded cage. Your soulmate just asked God for a sign that what they are feeling about you is real and not delusion. They are on the verge of either a massive spiritual breakthrough or a devastating retreat into numbness. And your response to this message is intricately connected to which direction their heart will take in the coming hours. Jesus says, I am giving you the opportunity to be the answer to the prayer your soulmate just prayed. Your faith action right now sends a spiritual signal that strengthens their ability to trust what their heart already knows. And your hesitation would leave them vulnerable to the lies that are circling their mind like vultures tonight. Your soulmate has been secretly researching spiritual connections, twin flame signs, and divine partnership markers without telling anyone. They hide their search history because the person in their life would mock them for believing in something so deeply. And that hidden research is proof that their spirit is desperately seeking a framework to understand the intensity of what they feel for you. Jesus says your soulmate found a description of soulmate symptoms and broke down crying because every single sign applied to them. They read about the inexplicable longing, the sensation of missing someone they have not met, and the physical heart pulls, and they checked every box. And in that moment they knew beyond logic that someone out there, the one they are missing, is you. Your soulmate just replayed a memory of a moment you two crossed paths without realizing what it was at the time. Maybe you passed each other in a city, maybe your eyes met briefly in a crowd, maybe you were in the same room once and something shifted but you dismissed it. Tonight that memory is hitting your soulmate like a freight train of recognition, and they are gasping at the realization of what almost happened. Jesus says they are mentally kicking themselves for not speaking to you in that moment, for not following the instinct that screamed, "This one is important." They are tracing back every near miss, every almost encounter, and realizing with horror that divine appointments were repeatedly sabotaged. And I want you to know that those missed connections were not accidents, they were interceptions planned by the enemy who fears your union. Type 777 right now if you feel this message piercing through the confusion and straight into the core of your spirit. Your acknowledgement is a declaration that you refuse to let the interference win this battle for your soulmate's heart. The spiritual realm shifts every time one of my children steps out of passivity and into faith-filled action. Jesus says your soulmate is currently being emotionally manipulated by someone who benefits from keeping them isolated and confused. This person uses guilt, obligation, and twisted versions of loyalty to prevent your soulmate from exploring their own heart's desires. And your soulmate feels so responsible for this person's feelings that they are sacrificing their own divine happiness on an altar of false duty. Your soulmate just cried in the bathroom where no one could see them because they feel like their life is not their own. They are the caretaker of someone else's emotional stability while their own heart is slowly dying from neglect. And tonight I am showing them visions of you as a lighthouse in the distance, and they are realizing they have been sailing in circles for someone else's comfort. Jesus says the person blocking your soulmate has convinced them that seeking their own happiness would be selfish. This toxic bond has your soulmate apologizing for dreams they have not even spoken aloud yet. And the devastation they are feeling tonight is compounded by guilt because they feel like loving you would betray someone who has never truly loved them back. Your soulmate is trapped in a cycle of emotional obligation that was carefully constructed by a manipulative person who saw their kindness as something to exploit. They have been conditioned to believe that their purpose is to serve the needs of this person at the expense of their own soul's calling. And tonight the walls of that prison are trembling because the truth of your existence is a battering ram against every lie that has held them captive. Jesus says your soulmate just had a vision of a life that feels more real than the one they are living. They saw a home filled with laughter, they saw shared mornings and peaceful nights and a love that does not require them to shrink. And the face they saw beside them in that vision, the face that made their spirit finally feel at peace, was your face. They are going through something you cannot see, but you can still protect them through the spiritual authority I have given you. Your seed offering right now is not merely a gesture, it is a spiritual weapon that breaks chains in the realm where the battle for your soulmate is being fought. Every coffee you send is a declaration that you will not passively watch while the enemy steals what I have ordained for your life. Jesus says I established the principle of sowing seed to release breakthrough because your tangible faith action gives me legal authority to move in your situation. When you give in faith for your soulmate's protection, you are literally funding a spiritual intervention in their life. And the angels I dispatch on your behalf are activated by your faith, not your fear, your action, not your anxiety. Your soulmate just felt a sudden warmth spread through their chest as if someone wrapped a blanket around their spirit. That warmth is the direct result of my presence responding to the prayers and faith actions of those who are spiritually linked to them. And every time you sow into this connection, the warmth gets stronger and the chains of manipulation get weaker. Jesus says the person controlling your soulmate is about to be exposed in ways they cannot hide from. I am orchestrating events that will reveal their true motives and strip away their mask of false concern. But the timing of this exposure is directly connected to the prayers and seed offerings of those who love your soulmate enough to fight for them. Your soulmate is currently experiencing a moment of clarity where they can almost see the strings attached to their limbs. They are realizing that their life has been choreographed by someone who never wanted them to find true love. And the rage that is beginning to simmer beneath their sadness is a holy rage that I have placed in their spirit as a catalyst for escape. Jesus says your soulmate just said out loud, I cannot live like this anymore. Those words cracked open a door in the spirit realm that no amount of manipulation can close again. And through that door I am sending reinforcements, but those reinforcements need your faith as fuel for their mission. Your soulmate just packed an imaginary bag in their mind filled with everything they would need to start over. They mentally rehearsed walking away from the toxic situation that has been suffocating them for years. And in that mental rehearsal they were not running to emptiness, they were running toward a future that has your silhouette waiting on the horizon. Type 1111 right now if you are ready to say thank you for this revelation and commit to being the answer to your soulmate's unspoken prayers. Your gratitude is a spiritual accelerant that propels this work forward at a speed the enemy cannot counter. Do not underestimate the power of your acknowledgement in this very moment. Jesus says the enemy's greatest fear is that you would fully understand the authority you carry over your soulmate's protection. He has worked tirelessly to keep you ignorant of the fact that your prayers reshape the reality your soulmate experiences. But tonight that ignorance is being stripped away and you are being commissioned as a guardian of a love that is under active spiritual attack. Your soulmate is currently unaware that someone out there, someone who is meant for them, is fighting for their freedom in the spiritual realm. They feel alone in their battle, but they are not alone because you are being awakened to your role as their unseen protector. And the moment you take that role seriously, the dynamic of the entire situation shifts in your favor. Jesus says the coffee you send as a seed offering is not just a transaction, it is a covenant act that legally binds my power to your situation. When you sow protection seed over your soulmate, you are telling heaven that this person is claimed, covered and defended. And the enemy must retreat when a child of God steps into their authority with faith-backed action. Your soulmate is currently being bombarded by thoughts of you that the enemy is trying to twist into anxiety. They feel the intensity, and the enemy whispers that intensity means something is wrong rather than something is divinely right. Your intercession right now shields their mind from these twisted interpretations and preserves the purity of what I am doing in their heart. Jesus says there is a specific lie that has been repeatedly spoken over your soulmate that has acted like a lock on their ability to find you. That lie was planted by the controlling person in their life, and it sounds something like you are too much, or your standards are unrealistic, or you need to settle. Tonight I am revealing that lie for what it is and giving you the key to break it through your faith action. Your soulmate just shook their head as if trying to dislodge a thought that has plagued them for years. They are beginning to suspect that the voice telling them to settle was never the voice of wisdom but the voice of sabotage. And the freedom that is dawning on the edges of their consciousness looks exactly like the permission to love you without apology. Jesus says the moment you sow your seed for their protection, you are not just giving money, you are casting a vote in the spirit realm. You are voting for your soulmate's freedom, you are voting for your union, and you are voting against every force that has tried to keep you apart. And heaven responds to the votes of the faithful with movements that shake the foundations of earthly circumstances. This is your final moment to protect this connection before the window of opportunity narrows and the interference solidifies its grip. Your soulmate is standing at a crossroads, and the path they take will be determined by the spiritual support they receive in this critical window. And you were born for such a time as this, to be the unseen anchor that keeps them from drifting into permanent loss. Jesus says your soulmate is about to make a decision that will either lead them toward you or trap them further in the situation they are in. That decision is not being made solely by logic, it is being made by the spiritual atmosphere surrounding them right now. And your seed offering fills that atmosphere with the light of divine intervention that guides their steps toward your waiting arms. Your soulmate just felt a surge of courage that they cannot explain or attribute to any source in their natural life. That courage is the direct result of your prayers being processed in the heavenly courts at this very moment. And with that courage comes the strength to finally say no to the manipulation that has held them hostage for far too long. Jesus says the person controlling your soulmate just felt a sudden loss of power and they do not understand why. They tried to manipulate as usual, but the response they received was different, weaker and less effective. That shift is happening because the spiritual backing behind your soulmate's captivity is being dismantled by your faith actions right now. If you love your soulmate, you will take these divine steps because you are constantly thinking about them, how to protect them, how to save them, and how to finally build your life together. You love your soulmate deeply, and deep inside you know this love did not come by chance, it was placed in your heart for a divine reason. But thoughts alone do not move mountains, faith in Jesus does, and your faith must take form through action. Sow your protection seed now by sending a coffee on Ko-Fi. This is not just a gift, it is an act of worship that invites my hand into your love story. The link to your breakthrough is in the description, and every second you stay silent, something is moving against your love. Act now. Send 4, 6 or 10 or more coffees, and after sending, write "Protect my soulmate, Lord" on the Ko-Fi page to seal your declaration. Over 1,000 people have already received their soulmate by sowing coffee as a seed for their love and future together, and I will hear your prayers once you complete these steps. Step in faith now before this video ends, because only you can save your soulmate and your future together. Jesus says your soulmate is currently pacing in a room, feeling trapped between what they know is right and what they have been conditioned to accept. The internal war they are fighting is exhausting their spirit and draining the light from their eyes. And only a spiritual intervention funded by your faith will give them the strength to choose freedom over familiar chains. Your soulmate just sat down and wrote a message they will probably never send, expressing everything they wish they could say to you. They poured their heart onto that page, describing the loneliness, the longing, and the strange certainty that you exist. And that unsent message is sitting in a journal or a notes app right now, like a prayer waiting for its answer. Jesus says, I have read that message and I have counted every tear that fell as they wrote it. Their words are more honest than anything they have ever spoken aloud to another human being. And the contents of that message are a love letter written to a future they are terrified will never arrive, but hoping against hope that it will. Your soulmate just imagined introducing you to the people who have hurt them and watching those people realize they were wrong. They imagined your quiet strength beside them as they finally stood up to the manipulation that has defined their relationships for years. And that image of you as their defender, their partner, their proof of worth is what is keeping their spirit alive tonight. Jesus says your soulmate is not looking for someone to save them in the way the world misunderstands that word. They are looking for someone to stand beside them while they save themselves with the strength that love provides. And the role I have designed you to play is not hero but partner, not rescuer but completer of a soul that is almost whole but missing its final piece. Your soulmate just whispered to the universe, if you are real, please find me soon because I am so tired of being strong alone. That whisper entered my throne room before it ever reached your ears. And I am answering that prayer right now by commissioning you to move into action and become the answer they are begging the universe to send. Jesus says the countdown has begun on a season of separation that has lasted far longer than I ever intended. The enemy stole years from your union through manipulation, confusion, and the weapon of false obligation. But I am restoring those years, and the restoration begins the moment you decide that your soulmate is worth fighting for in the spirit realm. Your soulmate just felt a shift in the atmosphere, as if a heavy pressure suddenly lifted by a fraction. That fraction of relief is the direct result of the spiritual work being done in this very moment through the revelation you are receiving. And the full relief will come when your faith action seals the work that my Spirit has begun in their heart tonight. Jesus says your soulmate is being prepared for you even in the midst of their devastation. The pain they are feeling is not destroying them, it is softening the ground of their heart to receive the love you are meant to plant there. And every prayer, every seed, every act of faith you perform waters that ground and makes it ready for the harvest of reunion.